Greetings, one and all. This is Tribal Tea Talk, and as usual, it is a full and total pleasure for us to be in your company today. We are going to be having a quick look at what we see at Tribal Tea Talk as an extremely controversial word that has been being used by many nation state governments to speak to where tribal people live. And that word is village. And it has become even more pressing in light of our very, very illustrious brother from Guyana, who is an indigenous youth representative and advocate. He's from the Akawaya Nation, my brother Romario Hastings. He brought up the villagization of indigenous territory. And, we thought here at Tribal Tea Talk that we would have a deeper look into the word village, its origins, and its possible implications for indigenous and tribal people, the first people of the earth. So let us have a look first at the post that the illustrious Mr. Hastings made, and then we'll dig deeper into definitions from a few different sources.
When the process of granting titles to Amerindian lands later began, the PNC government demanded loyalty oaths from Amerindian leaders and would use a policy of villagization which recognized no large contiguous areas under Amerindian control, but rather gave title to small, concentrated settlements surrounded on all sides by state lands. In many Amerindian areas, the government gave concessions to small and medium-scale gold and diamond miners on the state lands in between villages, Hennessy 2013. After the PPP came to power in 1992, the patterns of villagization and land titles awarded only in exchange for political patronage continued, and the drive to extract natural resources in the interior intensified. Balkan 2016.
Deeply controversial quotes there. So we're just going to jump right into a few meanings of a few words that constitute what we see as the root of the word village.
So we are going to look at the word villine. Villine, Merriam-Webster says, a free common villager or village peasant of any of the feudal classes lower in rank than the thane, or a free peasant of a feudal class higher in rank than a cotter, or an unfree peasant enslaved to a feudal lord but free in legal relations with respect to all others. Black's Law 2nd edition says, for villine, a person attached to a manor who was substantially in the condition of a slave, who performed the base and servile work upon the manor for the lord, and was, in most respects, a subject of property and belonging to him. Black's Law on Village says, any small assemblage of houses for dwellings or business or both in the country, whether they are situated upon regularly laid out streets and alleys or not, constitutes a village. In some states, this is a legal description of a class of municipal corporations of smaller population than cities and having a simpler form of government, and corresponding to towns and boroughs as those terms are employed elsewhere. So now that we've gone into the word villine and village and established the relationship between the words villine and village, we're going to go into the word villinage, which is the state of being a village. So Black's Law again says a servile kind of tenure belonging to lands or tenements, whereby the tenant was bound to do all such services as the Lord commanded or were fit for a villine to do. And it says see villine. It also says pure villinage, a base tenure where a man holds upon terms of doing whatsoever is commanded of him, nor knows in the evening what is to be done in the morning, and is always bound to an uncertain service.
So after hearing the definitions of these words, thinking back to Mr. Hastings' post on his Facebook sends shivers up and down my spine. Just recollecting the words of that post. When the process of granting titles to Amerindian lands began, the PNC government demanded loyalty oaths from Amerindian leaders and would use a policy of villagization which recognized no large contiguous areas under Amerindian control, but rather gave title to small, concentrated settlements surrounded on all sides by state lands. And they say further down, he says further down in this post, after the PPP came to power in 1992, the patterns of villagization and land titles awarded only in exchange for political patronage continued, and the drive to extract natural resources in the interior intensified. So, look, I don't think that it takes a rocket scientist to see the relationship between what is happening to our first people, our relatives in Guyana. It's not hard to see the link between this phenomenon and the original meaning of villanage, of someone being a villain and living in a village. I think that now that this National Toshaus Council, which is a meeting of all of the chiefs in Guyana, all of the indigenous chiefs in Guyana, they're having their annual general meeting right now. I think that it is vital for people, leaders who actually care about their people, to start asking some serious questions. How are we viewed? How are my people viewed by you, state government? What is our relationship really defined as? Because does this mean that because of getting these land titles, etc., does this mean that these leaders now have to do anything that the state government says and they have no way or ability or strength to be able to say, no, I don't think that this is right for my people? This is very dangerous. And we at Tribal Tea Talk really support our indigenous advocates such as Romario Hastings, and we really hope and pray that he and all of the other fighters, all the other people who are standing up for their rights, will be healthy and well and continue to be able to speak freely and educate as they have been. We also urge the other tribal communities, especially in Jamaica, we urge the Rastafarian community to look deeper into this thing about Rastafari indigenous village. Ask some questions. And if that's the name that you chose, maybe think about renaming to really represent the strong and powerful people that Rastafari always puts itself out to be. Also, Maroons, please don't allow people to define your communities as villages. We need to understand words because words cast spells. This has been Tribal Tea Talk, and we hope that we have opened your eyes as usual.
Thank you, everyone, and remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe as we do our best to educate, stimulate, and motivate.